Hi everyone, and welcome to my second video on expanding the left hand to avoid shifting. Today we're going to talk about giving the first finger two notes to play. Last video was about expanding the fourth finger, so you might want to check that out if you haven't yet. This video is going to be about expanding the first finger, with the goal that the first finger has two notes to play and the fourth finger has two notes to play, and that way you can play 6 notes in one hand position on one string instead of only 4. And that makes a huge difference to violin playing, because you will notice that you won't need to shift as much. So if you have something like this to play, you would have to you'd have to think of complicated shifts and where do I shift, and you'd have to practice the shifts and all that. This is literally a shortcut, because what you need to do is you need to teach your first finger to move from the D, third position, down a semitone to the C sharp, and back up again. It's a small movement. It's just your finger moving. It's not a difficult movement. And your finger is so much more exact at measuring distances than you will ever be with your whole hand shifting. So that's why Paganini's technique is not only more efficient, but also more secure. Now, as much as this method makes violin playing easier, and it really does, we're still talking about violin playing, so everything has to be practiced. Literally everything always has to be practiced. So the first thing you need to do is teach your first finger to move down a semitone and back up again. I'll show you from the other side. I'm only moving my finger. Don't move your whole hand. That's a shift into second position and back up again. That's the last thing you want. You don't want to shift into second position and back up into third. You'll never get that in tempo, and you'll never feel happy and secure about it. You're only moving your finger. Just the finger. Important is, and that's very, very important, I heard Ruggiero Ricci tell me that all the time, you have to measure the distance. You need to know where the C sharp is. So practice that slowly, slurred, so that you're practicing the connection, and practice it with an open string drone with the D string, so that your D is always perfectly in tune again. I'll show you this way. I'm only moving my finger, just the finger. The angle, of course, of the hand changes a little bit, but this part of my hand stays exactly where it is. The thumb stays exactly where it is. I'm just moving my first finger down a semitone and back up again. Practice that on all strings. The important part of practicing this is to measure the distance. Your first finger needs to know where the G sharp is if you're on the E string. Same on the D string. You're going from first finger G and you're shifting it down a semitone to first finger F sharp. And remember only to move your first finger. Also practice it on the G string. You don't have a drone there. The more you practice that, and the more you focus on your first finger measuring the difference between the higher and the lower note, and your first finger remembering how far does it have to move down for the lower note and back up again, the more secure you will be in this. So give yourself plenty of time to practice exactly that. The next step is obviously to speed this up, because the point of being able to do this is to be able to move fast and not have to worry about shifts. But when you're speeding up, you need to feel very carefully if you're ready for the next speed yet. Because if your first finger doesn't know how far it's got to go down and back up again, and it's not measuring the distance properly, you have to go back a step. So the next step would be to speed it up slightly. I would still recommend doing that with drones. I'm using first finger D, extended first finger C sharp, first finger D again, and then second finger E. Practice that on all strings as well. The first finger with the two different notes it has to play is not secure and you're not quite sure where the lower note is, then go back a step and practice it slower again, measuring the difference. If you feel comfortable with this, you can expand it a little more by adding the third finger and by speeding up. And then of course speed it up even further. You see, I'm not shifting. I'm just moving the first finger down and back up again. Next step is to put together what we did in the last video with the expanded fourth finger and the expanded first finger. And do that on all strings as well. Basically, we're putting together what we worked at in the previous video and what we've worked at in this video. Okay, I hope you enjoy this. Give yourself plenty of time to get your hand used to this new and unusual movement. This is normally not taught anywhere. And definitely let me know in the comments how you get on, if you run into any problems that I haven't thought of, because I'd like to help you with this. So let me know in the comments how you get on with this, and also how you feel about having so many more notes at your disposal without any changes of position.